Hey guys, my name is Archimus. Welcome back to another keyboard build video. Today I'll be building a premium mechanical keyboard for my friend. So let's first go over the parts I'll be using. Here I have with me is the KBDfans 75 V2 kit. In this kit it includes a aluminum 75% case, a soldering PCB, an aluminum plate, screw-in stabilizers, and some screws. For the switches, my friends chose the Kalih Brown switches. These are tactile switches, so unlike linear switches, these will give you a tactile feedback when you press on them. Kalih Browns are great for typing and they are relatively easy to get used to. Last but not least, the keycaps. He went for the OSA Midnight Blue PBD keycap set, and I think this was a great choice because these look incredible. The light blue legends really complement the dark blue colored keycaps. Furthermore, this set comes with a plethora of colors and sizes of certain keys in addition to matte keys, which is wonderful. Now that I've shown you all the parts I'll be using, let's begin building this keyboard. Usually the first thing to do is to loop the switches, but I won't be doing that this time because Kalih switches are actually designed with a hole on the side which ejects dust or liquid out of the switch itself over time. So in this case, the first thing to do is to snap the switches onto the plate. Make sure the switches are oriented correctly according to the PCB. For the KBDfans 75 kit, your switches should be self-facing, meaning the two pins of the switch should be facing forward. Moving on to the stabilizers. The stabilizers that came with the kit sound horrible stock, but luckily there are ways to improve them. First, dismantle the stabilizers, then grab the stem and clip off both of the legs. By doing this, the stabilizers will sound cleaner as the legs create unnecessary rattle noise. Then evenly apply some lube to all the moving parts of the stabilizers such as a stem and wire before reassembling them. Here's a quick before and after sound test of the stabilizers. As you can hear, that's a big improvement, so definitely lube your stabilizers if you want them to sound and feel good. Alright, once that is done, it's time to snap the plate and PCB together and solder the switches onto the PCB. But before permanently soldering the switches onto the PCB, I suggest checking your PCB first with an online key tester, because there's always a chance that your PCB is broken or damaged, and it will be a nightmare to find out that your keyboard doesn't work after you build it. Luckily, mine was completely fine and I can proceed soldering the switches. I'm pretty familiar with this part because I have plenty of experience with soldering. Since this keyboard consists of 75 switches and each switch has 2 pins, it means I'll have to solder 150 joints. The process took me 2 hours, but all 75 switches are perfectly soldered and I'm quite happy with the result. Once that is done, the process of building the rest of the keyboard is pretty easy. To place the plate and PCB into the case, you'll have to open up the case by removing 4 screws underneath the case. The PCB and plate will then be sandwiched in between the 2 halves of the case with 8 screws securing it in place, making this keyboard extremely sturdy. As you probably saw just now, there's a thin sheet of acrylic in between the 2 halves of the case, and that is actually for the RGB lights under the PCB to shine onto. This creates a glowing rim surrounding the perimeter of the case, which looks really cool. You can also change the colors, effects, and the speed of the effects through the configurator called VIA. It's extremely easy to use and it's way better than QMK configurator in my opinion. Then the final step is to put on the keycaps. The Midnight Blue keycaps are surprisingly hard to find, so I'm glad I was able to pick one up. Just like that, the KBDfans 75 V2 is complete, and the keyboard now weighs 1,454 grams. So now let me go over the price for each component. The KBDfans 75 V2 kit is 160 USD. The Midnight Blue keycap set is 75 USD, and the 75 Kalih Brown switches are 20 USD. So the total price of this keyboard is 255 USD. I've never built a 75% keyboard before because I rarely use the FN keys and I prefer a smaller keyboard. But after building this and using it for a while, I have to say this is completely different than my expectations. I thought it would be bulky and inconvenient, but it's actually not much bigger than a 65% keyboard. I can really see myself using this, so let me know in the comments down below if I should build one for myself. See you in the next video.